A question that I commonly get asked via social media or from someone in the audience is, how do I know if I'm really transgender? And then they usually follow that up before I can answer with, and also, is it going to be too late if I wait too long to transition? So let me talk a little bit about this. How do you know if you're really transgender? This is a really hard question to answer because all of us are going to have different experiences in our lives. I think where people oftentimes though get confused is being able to differentiate between one, their gender identity, and two, their gender expression. Okay, so what are those? So our gender identity is between our ears, that's our brain. That is our psychological identification of our gender, male, female, or non-binary, bigender, different language we use there, all right? Gender expression is the way that we communicate our gender. So it's the way we walk, the way we talk, our voice inflection, our body language, the clothing we wear, whether we feel it's appropriate to have body hair, where that body hair should be, all right? So sometimes people have a gender expression that is not, what's the word I want to use? Not tied into our social norms around what we assume for someone to express themselves being man or woman. Then other people have a gender identity that's different from their sex assigned at birth. So we have to figure out for ourselves what's going on with us. Is it that we just like to express our gender differently than what society tells us we're supposed to be doing with our gender? Or is our gender identity actually different from our sex assigned at birth? So explore both those things. You know, explore just if it's clothing or if it's something going on here with your brain. Next, just explore different things that have happened in your life. You know, I think for me, and I think back to my own transition, one, I had a very clear sense of my gender being different when I was around 3, just because I was looking out at the world and I was looking at myself and I was aligning with my dad and my brother, not my mom and my sister. And then that awareness continued to grow as I aged. But it's interesting because when I was in college, a freshman, back in 1997, which feels like forever ago now, I remember I had put a picture that I had torn out of a magazine up in my dorm room. I loved this picture, and I'll show it to you. It's this J. Crew picture, and it just shows this guy standing in front of a fridge, and he's shirtless, and he has a towel, and he's like drying his hair. And I put that up in my dorm room, and I was just drawn to it, and I wanted to look like him. But I didn't understand I was transgender at that time. So think back to if you've had those memories too, where you're linking how you want to look, your appearance, to different pictures. And if it's of someone of a different gender, that can share some information with you. Another thing that resonates with me is I remember when I was seeing my therapist and talking about beginning my transition, my therapist said, how do you picture yourself in 20 years? And at that time, instantly, the image that came into my head was I pictured myself with a beard, in cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat, right? And so now it's been over 20 years. No, it hasn't been 20 years yet. Actually, has it? No, it hasn't yet. 15 years later, I have the beard, and I have the cowboy boots, but my wife won't let me have the cowboy hat yet. But I could get there later, right? So what I encourage you to do is just take your time continuing to explore. You do not have to make any rash decisions and try to rush through this or try to force yourself into feeling that I must transition now because other people are transitioning now. And if I don't do it now, it's gonna be too late, because that's not the case, right? You have your life ahead of you. We all transition at different times, but what we need to do is be able to take the time to explore who we are and be creative with that exploration and be open to what your internal self is telling you about your external self. So I hope that helps.